Welcome everybody. Today we are going to be playing Farming Simulator 22. This has got to be one of my favorite guilty pleasure games of all time. I don't know why, but for some reason every time I put it down, start playing something else, I keep coming back to it. And I wind up getting addicted to it and playing it for hours and hours, day after day. So we are going to be starting off a new career here. We're going to be jumping into the game just like if we hadn't played it before, because I know a lot of you guys need to know where to begin on this one. Farming Simulator is one of those games where even though it seems like it should be really simple, they really don't give you much info at all. We're going to be starting off on an empty slot here, and just so that I can walk you guys through it, we're going to be starting off on easy on this one. If you are new to the game, definitely do easy. When I first picked it up, I went, I never play any game on easy. I always go hard, at least medium. Read through all the options on here, went, no, I should be fine to play medium. Hopped into it, went, what the heck am I doing? I have no clue what's going on. I can't do anything. And had to start watching a ton of YouTube videos, which is why I'm doing this one. So we're going to start off on easy. And quite honestly, I love Elm Creek, so we're going to be doing Elm Creek. And for today, we are going to go ahead and take off all mods, and we're going to just start brand new as if we did not have any mods so that you guys can see what we're doing. I will talk a little bit about a few of the mods because quite honestly, a lot of them make the game a whole heck of a lot easier to play, especially if you're playing it by yourself versus playing it online with a group of friends. But let's jump in and we will get going here. So first thing we're going to do is go through character creation, and it looks like this is more or less saved from the last character I created too, so we are going to go ahead and just confirm and skip through to the next part, but you can simply choose through a couple different player models, handful of different hairstyles, beards, mustaches, bunch of different outfits. And you do you. So we are going to go ahead and go through the tutorial. I really think that their tutorial sucks, which is why we're going to do it so we can add a few things in on here. So start off with here, it's going to just give you the little bit of, okay, this is how you control movement, and that is what you do. And we can go to our map where it's going to continue our little guided tour here. Alright, so it doesn't really tell you, but it wants you to go over to this little exclamation mark. Alright, so this is one of our fields. It's wheat, and it is already time to harvest. So we're going to get into our combine harvester and get started. And it tells you you're going to use X to enter it. So we get in, and it wants us to attach the harvester that's in front of us using A to attach tool. And you'll see up in that control panel in the top left, which I really recommend leaving on because it does get really handy. Go ahead and hit A, it'll pop our harvester head on. We're going to unfold it and turn it on. We are already selected into it, so if we hit Y, it's going to just deselect and go back to the actual combine harvester, so we'll keep on it. Unfold, we hold down LB, hit A, and it unfolds our combine. Then we're going to lower our header, we are going to turn it on. Steering, acceleration, deceleration is kind of standard on almost any game. So we are going to go ahead and start harvesting our wheat field. And now it says, okay, you're good, even though we've barely done anything, but it wants us to go ahead and hire an AI worker so that we don't have to do it ourselves. So we're going to hit OK. And you can see how our little harvester icon up there at the top left is highlighted in blue. That means we can in fact hire a worker just by going ahead and hitting B, like it says, hire an AI worker. Now they will start going ahead and driving through to finish harvesting that field. We're going to hit OK, and we are going to jump out of our harvester. Alright, so now it wants us to start plowing this field with the cultivator. Actually, maybe I should say cultivating it, because technically we aren't plowing. So first off, we're going to go ahead and attach our cultivator up front, and we're going to attach our weight. And again, it wants us to go ahead and select through tools and hit lower. We are already attached to our weight. We don't really need to do anything with the weight. It doesn't seem to matter whether it's raised or lowered. It will affect your balance a tiny bit, but quite honestly, you don't even really need the weight that badly with this setup. So we're going to head forward so that we're in our field, just because I don't really like putting it down outside of the field, even though it's not going to do anything on easy mode since it's rushed and everything else is turned off. And we are going to start plowing through our fields just like when we were harvesting. And same thing, we get up here and it's going to tell us to hire an AI worker. The one thing I'm going to warn you, AI workers cost money. So, as you keep playing, you may not realize that right off the bat, but each time you have them going through something, you are going to be paying them to do all this. Alright, we're going to hop out of there. And we have another giant green beacon all the way up into the sky. Alright, so one of our workers is blocked. That was probably just for me getting out of the tractor because we look alright. Both of our workers are in fact working. Alright, so this one we are going to be sowing our seeds onto the field, meaning we are actually going to be planting it. And we're going to hook up both of our tools. And it wants us to plant canola. We're going to hit OK. Alright, we already selected on our seeder right now because we can see that bright white selection up in the top left corner on that back tool. Right will give you unload and honk. Left button is going to give it where we can actually unfold our seeder. And we can start selecting our different seeds. All you do is purchase seed packs, which will contain every single seed. No matter what, your seeds will work with every single plant in the game. And they didn't really line us up very good on here, so I'm going to actually realign a little bit so we don't risk losing a little stripe. That looks pretty straight. So, we're going to go ahead and lower our seeder. We're going to turn it on because we already have it that we are in fact planting canola. And we're going to start planting seeds. You can see the texture on the ground changing behind us there, which is how we know it is working correctly. And then again, it's going to want us to go ahead and get an AI worker and switch. It really doesn't say to get an AI worker, but if you just switch at this point and you don't get an AI worker, now your tractor's going to just be sitting here. We're going to get an AI worker. And we're going to hit our right button to switch right over to our tractor here. And again, it kind of doesn't tell us much, but we do have our little exclamation point here saying as soon as the harvester's full, we can unload it into the trailer. So, we're going to go ahead and hop back into our trailer or tractor here. Trailer's not attached, we'll attach it. And it tells us how to open the cover. There's really no point in closing these covers except for looking a little bit more realistic. You don't get anything into the trailer that's not supposed to be in there, and nothing goes flying out of your trailer if you leave it open. So most of the time, I don't bother closing them at all. But as soon as you drive up to your harvester here, now moving out of our way. As soon as you drive up along the side, it will automatically extend out the pipe since we've got that AI worker in it. Come on. And he's going to start extending out that pipe and dropping in. Now, some of the things they don't tell you that they really should, because now they're saying, okay, go ahead and close your cover even after we barely put anything into it. If you hold LB and RB, you can see now it's prompting a couple different options, including cruise control. If we use our left stick and go way down to right where we're at, like about 5 miles an hour there, and then turn it on, that'll actually help us keep pace with that harvest, which is now going to be moved around this last strip, and we're going to play. Woo! And run into the house. Good thing we don't have to pay for repairs on the house. Okay. So it's going to start piping out again and filling our trailer. As long as we can center it back up on it. There we go. Now, if we go ahead and activate cruise control, we are cruising right along, almost falling. We'll pop up to 6 miles an hour. Just a little boost, get back into position, and activate cruise control. And now he's done, so it's going to just sit there. Let's see if there's more in here that needs to get. Nope, it is empty, so we're going to be all done with that one. Let's see, does it have anything else for us here on our guided tour? Right, it wants us to close our cover back up. So we'll close our cover. And I believe it wants us to go sell all of this. So we're going to go chasing after that. Oh, we're going to get into an accident with our worker. And we're going to go chasing after that big green infinite beacon in the sky again. And make this drive a little bit easier. We're going to hit down on the D-pad, which will zoom us out. Makes it a little bit easier on the eyes. Or you can hit your right joystick and go into first person, which is pretty fun to do a lot of the time. It does make it a little bit tougher to drive, but you get a really nice view, plus you get to be able to control it. And then sometimes you quit paying attention to the road and almost crash. On console here, I never find traffic to be much of a problem. Traffic is on, as you can see a few cars here and there. That's usually the most that I see. It will sometimes cause problems with the AI workers going around corners and stuff because they'll get a little bit jammed up with people. But otherwise, I usually leave it on because to me it's a little bit nicer than driving down empty roads all the time. Alright, AI worker D has completed their task. I want to say that is, well, actually, that must have been our cultivator. You can go into your menus and check that as well as your map. It makes it really easy to check it. Let's do that right now. So if we hit start, we can scroll down to our map, and we'll see we've got AI worker E over there, which is over on the field sowing all of our canola. Easiest way to tell that right now is you can see that half the field is covered in the canola crop. We can also skip down to the next one and we will see our active workers and what they're doing to some extent. It's not always the greatest description, like right there, it just says field worker working the field. Technically, anything we've done to the fields is working the field, I think. Alright, now that we're causing a traffic jam here and getting honked at by the one car that's behind me, we'll get moving again. How did I just go the wrong way? It did. So we'll make a big illegal U-turn. And the car behind us even disappeared. Or went around us. But I don't think they actually go around. So it probably just despawned. Alright, so we are going to be pulling up to our sales facility up here. And I'm just going to go ahead and open the cover right now, because we'll end up needing to open it to tip everything out, I believe. This does have a rear dump as well, though. Alright, so you do want to be a little bit careful when you come to these sales facilities, because it does get a little bit tough to figure out where things are going sometimes. Apparently it's mad because we didn't pull into the exclamation point, so we'll get our trailer all goofed up there to drive over it. And it's telling us to go ahead and dump it in the unloading station here by RB and Y. So we're going to go ahead and pull right over this grate because it's going to be dumping it into that grate. And yep, we do have a rear dump where it's telling us to do right now. Or if we hold down RB and hit down, it's giving us the different options of how to tip it. So we can tip this trailer out the left side, the right side, tip it straight back, or use the little grain door in the back. We're actually going to go ahead and say we're tipping it off to the right because you know what, that's going to be the safest bet for us, even though tipping it back should work just fine. This way we know there's no way it can go besides into that big grate at the unloading station. Alright, now we've sold the crop. We're going to drive over to the shop. And again, we've got the flashing diamond on the map and the giant beacon up in the air. So let's go ahead and pull it up. It's going to auto-save for us because it will do that a lot of the time when you go into your menu if you have auto-saving on. I usually recommend to keep auto-saving on because it does help. And we don't have our diamond flashing at all, but there's the shop. I don't know why it's not setting our point over there to make it flash, but that's alright. We will get over it. You can have workers automatically drive from place to place by the map menu that we were just in. Our beacon. If you go back to this map and make sure you're in the worker menu, if you're in the crop menu here where it's showing you your map and showing different crop types on each field, it's not going to work. But if you're over in the worker menu here, scroll to wherever you want to go to, hit Y, and then if you use your right stick, it'll let you select the direction. We're going to go ahead and cancel that worker though by just hitting B as we're still in that vehicle, because we're just going to make the drive ourselves. This will be nice and relaxed, and then we don't have to pay for it. As you can see, we start off with it looks kind of like a lot of money, being over $100,000 there. That $2,000 or $3,000 that we have almost is from selling the grain here. But in this game, $100,000 is really not much. Pop into the shop here before we end the video just to kind of give you an idea that the $100,000 they give you does not go very far at all. AI workers are not perfect in this game, but I do really like them. They come in very handy, because times like this, when you can go ahead and set an AI worker to be driving over to where you want your tractor to go, you can just hop into a different vehicle and start doing something else that you need to get done. Especially with the base settings. 5 times speed goes a little bit quicker than you think most of the time. And you're at a 1 day per month time period, meaning as soon as we end today, it's going to be September. And that makes your years and your seasons go by pretty quick. I would recommend that for your first time you play with seasons off, because then you don't have to worry about when you can plant what crops, as well as weeds and rocks off and lime off. Looks like everything's turned on right now because I see a lot of weeds in that field. Weeds are going to impact your overall yield at the end, and you'll get a lot less if you have weeds. So you have to get in and either pull them or use a weed killer on them to get rid of the weeds. Alright, so here we are at our final exclamation mark and our shop. And it's not letting me stop. Alright, so it's telling us this is where we can sell tools, buy tools. You can also lease tools here. Now, it kind of makes it look like you have to come in here and do it. As it shows you in the menu there too, you can also hit the button that it's showing, that little select display button, whatever it's called. So if we hit A, and it's going to tell us we're done on our guided tour, and we can open the menu as well. But if we hit that shop button, it's going to take us right into that same shop menu, and everything will just get delivered here at the store. Now, what we're going to do, since we really don't need to be over here right now, we are going to go ahead, wrong menu, hit start, and we're going to just tell this AI to come back. We're going to click our right stick once, and then we're going to push to the left because that's the direction we want them to go to, and hit right stick again, and that AA worker is now going to be driving right back over to our house. So, question kind of turns into, what do you do now? Because yes, they gave you that little guided tour, showed you how to do things, but they really didn't show you much or what you need to do from here. So, first thing we're going to do though is we're going to go ahead and fold up our harvester, move it out of the way because we're really not going to need it for quite some time again. If you want to, you can actually sell it at this point because you really don't need it very often. And we're going to move our tractor out of the way here. Right over here is a little trailer for the header on our harvester. Really don't need it either. Quite honestly, most of the stuff here we could go into our build menu and sell and take to the shop. Like this building over here. That's non-functioning. This building really does nothing at all. So, we're going to go ahead and sell that. So if we go into our shop menu, go all the way down, you can go over to the construction menu. And you can see when you highlight over this, it turns bright blue. We're going to use our right stick to select it. And we're going to sell it. It's not going to give us any money at all. It is just there as decorative. So we get 0 value out of it. But it's kind of in the way over there. And we sell it. And we've got a bunch more space now. So now we've got our field. You can see we've got a bunch of little rocks on it. Those are, I believe, all the small stones that shouldn't damage any equipment. We've got our field over here that had wheat and now just has a bunch of straw sitting on it. They don't tell you what to do. A couple little bits over here as well, but we're not going to worry about that. So, let's keep going. And we'll see what all we can get done in a little while here. So we're going to get out of our construction menu because I think for right now we're just going to keep everything else. The silo here can be pretty useful. We can sell our workshop here. It does nothing except being decorative and having a little bit of storage space, but all of this under here that I just fell down into, that leaves a giant pit in the ground that you have to fix. So we're not going to worry so much about it. Just use it for storage of vehicles and stuff right now because we don't need the space. It will give you a little bit of money, but we don't need it. The truck here, a lot of the time you can go ahead and just sell that as well, but I think we're also going to keep it so that we can cut down some of these trees and go sell the wood. So, we've got our harvester out of the way. We'll sell this guy later. We're going to grab our cedar. We're going to go over to that field that we cultivated, but did not do anything. Come out a little bit to make it easier. And you can just completely cut over the field. You're not going to damage anything, especially because there's nothing planted there. Now we're coming back over our field. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our start menu. Go back up to our fields. And if we use our left stick to move over, we'll be able to start seeing where we actually need to do things here. So, stones, as we can see, yes, we've got those yellow stones. That means they're the small ones that really aren't going to affect much of anything. So we're going to just leave them. We could go and either buy or lease a stone picker and clean them all out, but since they're the small ones, it's not going to really need that. So we're going to exit out of here. And we could look at what season's coming up, see what we can plant, and have a crop that we can harvest in close to a year. But what we're going to do is we're going to be a little bit smarter on this, and we're going to go and plant grass. Now, if you're brand new to this game, you're not going to realize grass is actually one of the best crops in here. It seems like I'm probably crazy by just planting grass because it's just grass. But we're going to be able to harvest that a lot more frequently than anything else. And we're going to get hay and silage out of it. And silage is one of the top selling items in here that we're going to be able to harvest all year long as opposed to once or twice. So it'll end up working out really well for us. Now, before we come and run our cultivator over here, which, not going to lie, when I first played this game is I think what I did, all of this straw that's sitting here, all of these big piles in the middle, we're going to collect all that. Now, we don't actually have anything to collect it with, so we're going to go to our shop by hitting our select button. We're going to come down to tools, and we have two options here. We can either get a forage wagon, which if you see that little yellow triangle down at the bottom right there means that we can collect our straw on any of those. And this is when I say that 100,000 isn't much in this game. Look at the price of these. 30,000 for the cheapest one. That means our 100,000 isn't going to go very far. But what we're going to do instead of doing straws, we're going to come over to balers. And we're going to look at our balers. So for right now, we're going to go with this tiny little Massey Ferguson. Now, if you have mods installed, there are a lot better options because you have balers that will let you pick up the bale. But most bales in this game are going to be too big for you to pick up. Right there, though, this little guy, it's going to make teeny tiny bales that you can pick up. So, we are going to lease it. We could buy it. Maybe should buy it. You know what? Hang on. Let's check one thing before we buy it. We're going to go to our bale wrappers. And we're going to check sizes for what anything can wrap. So that'll do square 180 to 220 and 180 to 240. I think, if I remember right, that thing makes 120s. Wrappers. Which means none of these can wrap those small square bales. Wrapping them is what you have to do with the grass to turn it into silage. So, if we want a baler that we can actually wrap, we're going to have to move up in size to say that 125, which is going to be too big for us to just pick up, and we would need either a bale attachment, front loader, or something like that. Bale fork attachment. But that'll end up costing us 50,000. 70,000 roughly. And let's see where our wrong way, a loader. So let's say that's going to be about 73,000 just to be able to move around 2 bales. So for right now, we're going to just go ahead and lease that little one because all we're going to do is get that straw up. Because we don't even have a mower yet for our grass. So we're going to grab it. We're in the shop. If you hit Y, you can look at changing your license plate, change the color on your license plate, or if you can change the colors of your implement, you can change the colors of your implement. Or your tractor or whatever you're buying. But if we hit X right here, like it says down at the bottom, it's going to say lease. And do we want to lease it for $1,000? We do, because that way we'll be able to use it. It is going to cost you every day and every hour, but it's still going to be a lot cheaper than buying it. So it says we can go pick it up from the shop. We aren't at the shop. And don't make the silly mistake of running over to the shop and thinking that you can literally pick it up and carry it over here or drive it back, because all it is the baler, there's no tractor. Since we are not going to need our cultivator, we're going to drive it over here. We're going to select our cultivator. I always lower it first just so I'm not slamming it down, but we're going to lower it. Then we can hold. Alright, so after we lower it, we're going to just hit A to detach it because we have it selected already. And we can then start driving away, and the cultivator is going to just sit there. And we'll take our short little trip over to the store. There's the tractor that our AI worker brought back with the trailer. We didn't bother taking off the weight on the front of the tractor, but we didn't really need to. It doesn't matter. All it's going to do is add a little bit of weight to make it a little bit easier to steer if we're towing something heavy. But really not. We don't really need it. We'll probably sell one, maybe even both of them. It does make certain tasks a little bit easier. Like when you're running that cultivator, it does kind of help give you a little better control. We are at our shop. And there is our cute little baler. We're back up. We'll hook it up. And we'll drive back to our farm. Now, we really have no use for our straw right now. If we had animals, we would need some for the pens, things like that, for actually either feeding them or taking care of them to raise our yield with them. But since we don't have animals that need straw, we're just going to sell it. It's not going to give us a whole lot of money, but at least it's better than nothing. And we'll see. Maybe it's going to do more than the $1,000 it costs to rent this. If we end up costing more than what it costs to rent this, I'll let you know so maybe you don't make the same mistake I just did. Alright, worker F completed our task. That means that our grass field is now ready to go. It will start growing tomorrow, which will be next month. I don't know, the grass in my yard seems to grow constantly, but in this game it just goes little by little. So, come over here. We are right lined up. We're going to go ahead and unfold our baler, turn it on, and lower the pickup. The nice thing with this, since it is a square baler, it will just kind of keep making bales. So all we have to do is keep driving through. We aren't going to have to worry about stopping while it makes the bale. And you can see it just kind of keeps spitting them out the back there. And those are nice little bales that we're going to be able to just pick up and put right into the back of our pickup truck. Turning radius on these is a little bit to be desired, especially on the starting tractors. So we're going to go ahead and just skip over a line and we'll come back and get it. Because I have found this is at least a little bit quicker for me than it is every single time doing a 3-point turn and actually getting yourself lined back up, or taking a real big wide area to turn in. Or at the very least, going back to what I've learned in real life, a lot quicker to mow my lawn by doing it like this than it is to just try and make sure I turn around and do stripes right next to each other. And we all know that Farming Simulator 22 is just like real life. There's nothing closer. In fact, it's probably more like real life than real life. We're going to bump our cultivator out of the way. And we'll drive for our little strip that we have right here. We're going to make a wide turn so that we can come back and grab this first row. And there we go. This is unfortunately something you cannot have a worker do. They won't bale. There are a few workarounds with that on some mods. If you've got a windrow attached to the front, which will scoop everything up and spit it out in a nice little swath like we have that we're going over, they will kind of then go through and bale because the windrow, and they take it as okay, I'm windrowing, and if the baler's on, they will still bale or make bales. But if it's not a square baler like this where it'll just keep spitting them out, you'll miss a bunch and you'll have to go back over and redo it all anyways, because every time they needed to stop to make the bale, they didn't stop or won't stop. So what it kind of comes down to is just get used to baling in here. When I first tried doing a mission in Farming Simulator 22 with baling, I absolutely hated it, largely because they don't really explain to you how to bale things. They just kind of say, go bale it. Here's all the equipment. And they don't really explain how to use the little pickups, hooks, grabbers, anything like that. So it gets really frustrating really quickly. Alright, we are all done. I might grab this last one out. I can't. So if we come over here, it'll let us actually hit E to pick it up. Should. Huh. That's too bad. Is there a way that I can pick that out? There we go. Unload baler. Alright, we unloaded it. Now we're going to pull forwards a little bit. We are going to lift our pickup. We're going to fold our baler. Go ahead and detach it and leave it right there. Now, we really aren't going to use this again for a while, if ever, because we probably won't be baling the rest of our grass over there, especially not with this little guy, because we're going to want to make silage. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to our store menu here, and we're going to go down to our little key where it says leased items, and right from here we can actually return it. We don't have to go back to the store. So right there, I'm going to return it. Say yes. Been returned. And there you go. Now we don't have it anymore. We're not paying for it anymore. We don't have to take it back. So let's go ahead and see about loading up our pickup here. And the pickups, the cars, they do drive quite a bit faster than the tractors. A good bit differently. Come over to it, pick it up. We are going to start loading up our truck. Now to make it a little bit easier, we're going to go ahead and hit left button, unfold it, and that'll drop our tailgate down. It's not a huge thing, and if you accidentally go back to the menu, it's going to probably save you again. It's not a huge thing to open up that trailer or keep it closed, or open up the pickup truck bed or keep it closed. But just since we're going to be loading them this way, it's going to help us out a little bit. Now, if we used a larger baler, we wouldn't be able to pick up our bales like we are. If we used one of the larger balers, we wouldn't be able to pick up the bales like we are right now and loading them into the truck. We would actually need to use a tractor or a front loader. And this does take a little bit of practice, and there are ways that you can move it around in midair magically. This is not going to look neat, clean by any stretch of the imagination. But it's alright, because they're going to get stacked in here. We're going to take them and sell them. Now I'm going to hold my left button, let me rotate. And it's not letting me rotate it the way I want it to. We're going to kind of just pull it over this way. Drop it. How many we can get stacked in here? Hoping to fit everything. I think we should be able to. Yeah, we'll just knock that bale out of the way. One thing to be careful about, if you haven't strapped them down yet as you drive, they will shift. The easy way to do that is right now, we can just go ahead and hold our RB button and hit our straps, and now everything will be locked into place. We're going to drive up to our next little spot here where we'll be able to grab a bunch of them, hold RB and unfasten all of our straps. You can leave them strapped as well. And then just once you have it refilled, you've got to make sure to unfasten your straps and refasten them. I just wanted to know if it's going to start booting stuff around like it is right now, so we're going to get back in. Get in. Loaded. This is why auto load trailers and bales are really exciting and work really well. Those are available if you take a look in the Mod Hub page, because you don't have to take all of this time stacking stuff up. Those are things, though, too, that once you buy them or once you download the mod, you'll have to go to the store in game and actually buy them. So if you're trying to do everything really cheap like I am right now, because I'm cheap and don't want to spend any of that 100,000 that I have, you're still going to be doing things this way. And crows we have all over our field, but there's not much we can do about them. Kind of wish there was some sort of scarecrow or something we could get just to keep them out of the field, because it seems wrong having a bunch of crows in our field. But we are going to load up our truck here. And you guys can mock my stacking job all you want to, because it is not very great. But that's okay. It quite honestly doesn't really matter how well they're stacked. Either way, they're still going to do what they need to do and get where they need to go. Because as soon as we put our straps on, it's going to just lock everything down. Here. That's awfully pronounced. Nothing else to find. So we're going to go ahead and fasten our straps down to lock it all down again. Let's see if we can hold that to... Ooh, but we can't. Alright, we're going to keep our tailgate down. And drive back around over here to where we have our last handful here. Keep hitting the wrong button. Alright, now that we drove over here, we're going to hop out. We're going to pick up our last couple bales. And we are leaving our straps down right now, but it's okay. We'll unstrap and restrap everything. Drop you up top. Drop you. You. Got a few more. And I do know if we were alternating this, doing some this way and then some going back and forth the other way, it would be a little more stable than it is. Physics are quite good in this game. Quite realistic most of the time. But you know what? It's still going to stay. So if we come in, we unstrap, and then we restrap, now it's all tightened down again, and we're cold. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to take a quick drive around our field. Oh, or flip our truck over. Alright, we get back up without... Oh, we're going to need a tractor. Alright, so... Don't do that. If you do, though... We'll grab our tractor. We're going to see if we can do this without a front loader. Normally, if I flip something over, I like having a front loader, because you can just stick some forks underneath it and flip it back up. And we might end up having to do that. Okay. Well, that stinks. Alright, let's see what we... Like I said, physics in here are pretty good. If you overload your truck or your trailer, you might flip it. So if we lower our cultivator down, back up right under it, lift our cultivator, nope, not quite. There we go. We'll just tap. Okay. Now that we righted up our truck, righted our truck back up, we're going to be a lot more cautious with it, because now we know we're about ready to flip it over again. Okay, so we're going to get back to driving around our field here. Very carefully turning. And our field does not have any more bales sitting on it. So we know we are now good to go sell this, which we're going to have to do very carefully. Now, when it comes to selling things, though, the other thing they don't really explain to you is you're going to want to take a look at your menu before you do sell anything. So if you scroll down to your prices here, this will list what everything is selling at and where it's selling for those prices. So before you just go right back to that same spot we were at, we're going to take a look at this. So we can see we are selling at the same price, $100, at either the animal dealer or biomass. If we hit X on here, though, it's going to show our fluctuations. So $100 is the lowest selling point it's at. We're not going to sell these yet. And that is $100 per liter, I believe. I don't remember how much was in each one of these little bales, but we're going to make a decent amount of money off of it. If we wait a few months, though, until January, when it goes up to about 150, we're going to be making quite a bit more. That'll be, what, an extra 50% per bale? Or 50% per liter, per unit that we're selling? For now that we know we're going to be waiting here, we're going to bring our truck over, and we're going to make use of our big old workshop here. Actually, we're going to go back right where the truck was parked to begin with. That has just enough clearance. A good bit of clearance. We're going to just park our truck and leave it, because it's going to be a few months. I don't see using this truck again. We probably should just sell the truck, but we're going to leave it for right now. Since we've now taken up all of our straw, all of our bales off this field, we're going to go ahead and pick up our cultivator, because now we are ready to cultivate this field. And we'll go ahead and lower it. Oh, let me back up a little bit. There we go. And we'll let one of our AI workers take care of this one for us. We're going to just go ahead and hot swap over to our seeder here. And we're going to just drive back over this way. And we'll switch over to our Massey Ferguson with the trailer. We're going to check our settings real quick. I think I have crop destruction turned off. I think that's standard on easy, but I'm not 100% sure. Probably should have checked this to begin with. So if we go to our game settings here, we've got our economic difficulty on easy. We've got traffic on. Seasonal growth is on. We're going to go ahead and leave that. 1 day per month. Fixed visual means basically in the winter we will be seeing snow, we'll be seeing changes in seasons. Snow's on, crop destruction is on. We're going to turn that off. Crop destruction being on means if we have crops and we drive over them, we're going to destroy them. But for right now, in this playthrough, we're going to turn that off because honestly, if you're starting, turn it off. And if you're just starting out, turn all this stuff off too. Turn off your field stones, your lime, and your weeds. We're going to leave them on just so that we can go through them and show you what we need to do. It defaults with periodic plowing off. We're going to go ahead and turn it on. That way, we'll be able to show you what you have to do with plowing when you need to plow. Dirt, if you're starting out, turn it down. It's going to change how quickly your machines wear down as well. I know it just says the speed they become dirty, but it will affect the actual wear on them too. Engine starting, braking on, cool trailer fill limit. I mean, that might have helped with our truck, but I think that only affects trailers. We're also going to leave it off because that means we can technically overload them and carry more than they should be able to carry. Fuel usage defaulted to low. We're going to leave it there for now. All you have to do to get fuel, though, is drive over to the gas station. All right. AI workers. This is where they really start costing some money. The way they are right now, where it defaults to everything being that they buy, they will replace anything they use. So when you have them seeding a field, they will buy seeds continuously every time they use seeds. So we're going to switch all these to off. That way, our AI workers are costing a little bit less, and we can kind of choose when to go buy fuel and seeds and fertilizer, as opposed to them constantly refilling it and costing more money each time that they're using it. We're going to take off our trailer here. Now that we've got all of our settings sorted out that I should have done before. We may have destroyed some crops over in this field, destroyed some area where they were planted. Not sure. We'll have to see if they still grow or if driving over them killed them all. Alright. We're going to go ahead and sell our header trailer here. Now, if you don't want to sell it, don't sell it. But all it does is that when you drive your harvester off to somebody else's field to harvest with, you hook this up to it, put the header on top of this, and you can drive along the streets. It does also help because of the fact that the AI workers will not drive through the streets with the header attached because it's too wide and unsafe. But we don't really have to worry about it being unsafe in this game. The most it'll do is cause a traffic accident, or a traffic jam, I should say. There is no damage that you get from hitting cars in here. The cars don't take damage, it doesn't cost you anything, so we're not really worried about it. I'm also not really planning on taking our harvester anywhere. Quite honestly, we might sell that harvester soon. Alright, so now that we are up here at the store, I love the starting farm is so close to the store and the gas station and everything you need, really. The sales points are a little bit further away, but that's okay. A little bit of a drive to those for how rare you are going to them, especially if you're harvesting some regular crops, you're good. I am going to detach that in our little square zone there, and we're going to jump out of our tractor. I just want to make sure we don't accidentally sell our tractor so we're not leaving it hooked up or leaving the tractor in that zone. We come over and hit our vehicle options menu here. We're going to get almost 900 bucks from selling it. Not bad. If we sold it through our sell menu back by our actual farm, we're going to get a little bit less. $900 really isn't that much of anything either, but when it's not doing us any good, we can spend that $900 on AI workers or some stuff we'll actually need. And we're going to head back to the farm. Now, we really don't have much else to do right this second. We've got our AR worker cultivating that field. We're going to have to seed that field as well. But we're not really going to be seeding it until they're done cultivating it. Ah, he's almost done. Maybe we'll go ahead and start seeding. You can have multiple workers on the same field working at the same time. So if we switch back over to through all of our tractors, get back to our seeder here. We're going to just do this one as grass too. Now, I promise I'm going to try not to do everything as grass. But since these two fields are basically connected, almost the same field, if we do these two as grass, which I know the other one is canola right now, but that's okay. Alright, so we're going to reseed this field as grass. Oh, I switched off the grass. Alright, we're going to reseed it as grass. We're going to go ahead and lower our seeder, turn it on, and we're just going to set an AR worker to it. We're going to jump out because we really don't need it. We don't need to deal with it. It's going to be fine. He'll take care of it all on himself. So we're going to have grass here. We'll have grass over here. And then right now we've got canola growing on that other field because it's what the tutorial wanted us to do. But we're going to just let it keep going. Now that we're kind of completely taken care of, we'll have to move our cultivator out of the way when he's done. But we've really got nothing else to do right now on our farm. But there's always something to do. We're going to check for contracts. If we go to our start menu and scroll up to our little contract tab here, we can see a lot of ways we can start making some money. We are going to go ahead and select our most expensive one up here. And we don't have a fertilizer right now. We'll probably end up buying one. We're going to need it at some point. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and just hit Y to borrow the items and hit OK. So instead of driving all the way back over to the shop, we're going to go ahead and just swap through all of our tractors again, because yes, that lease tractor is going to count. The one downside is we probably don't have any fertilizer in here. We don't. So, go ahead and connect all of our tools. Go into the shop. And right. Where'd it go? Right here, under objects. We're going to go ahead over to, really doesn't matter what we take right now. Let's see what's the cheapest. Solid fertilizer, 1,000 for 1920. Fertilizer, 1,000 for 1820. Or we have pallets of liquid fertilizer. We can't use in this. Solid fertilizer, 1,400 for 750. Liquid fertilizer. Alright, so as we can see, our big bag is, I think, going to be the cheapest, 1820. Yeah, our big bag is going to be the cheapest for the 1,000 at least. We'll go ahead and get a couple of big bags. You can also just scroll over to increase your size, but we'll do it the hard way just because. Now, they're all just sitting here. But all we got to do is drive up to it, and then we can click down on our left joystick, and we will fill up our fertilizer, or fill up our spreader with fertilizer. And we're going to just leave them here at the shop. We could rent or buy an attachment, pick up the big bags, take them back to our farm. But we're in single player. It doesn't matter if they just sit here at the shop. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a couple more fertilizer contracts. Because we already have one. And if we just accept the other ones here, it's going to let us keep using this equipment as long as we don't finish this contract we're on right now. I believe it only lets you do 3. Yep, it'll only let you pick up 3. So we've got our 3 contracts here that we're going to be fertilizing. So we'll do field 33 last, just to make sure that we don't accidentally return this equipment before we can. We're going to be doing fields 50 and 54, which if we look down at our mini-map is going to be off in this direction. And they're going to be pretty close too, which is nice. And crap destruction's off, so we're not going to worry about driving through some other farmer's field. Alright. Now, it does take some practice and some time to figure out exactly how far the spreaders on these are going to go, but I'm pretty sure we're about close to being over at the edge. We're going to go ahead and turn it on, and we are going to have our AI take this over so that we don't have to do it. Yeah, we're missing the edge a little bit. Oh, no, we're casting out over the edge. The nice thing, too, is it doesn't have to be perfect 100% coverage. If there's a few little gaps here and there, they'll still let you collect on completion of the contract. Yeah, we might have to refill before we finish this one. We'll see. We'll definitely have to refill before the others. Alright. We're going to hop back to our farm here while our AI worker is off doing that contract. But we're definitely going to make enough off those contracts to pay for all of our AI workers. We're going to kind of just keep things nice and neat over here at the farm, though. And we're going to make sure that we drop our cultivator right over here. Okay. We'll put this tractor away. We really won't need him for a while. And we're going to move our trailer back over towards everything else too. And we're going to just kind of clean up around the farm here real quick. Get everything kind of put away. We might as well grab our harvester here and put it over into our garage. Might have miscalculated that a little bit. Alright. We will set down our header. And park in our garage. Our seeder's just about done. And you are just about done fertilizing. Alright, so we finished fertilizing, and that cost us about 500 bucks for our worker to fertilize it. But that's okay, because we just made a few $1,000s of it. I will say this is the other time where if you have AI set to buy the fertilizer and you keep renting out equipment, it can kind of help, because they won't have to, or you won't have to buy a pack of it and end up wasting any of it. Not that you're going to waste it anyways, because we're going to just unload it once we're done before we return it. But you won't have to worry about buying the big bags of it. You'll just take it over to the field, tell the AI to start, and they'll just automatically buy it. And just, you're going to be buying whatever they pay. But you will save a little bit of money by doing your own right here. We're going to go ahead and fill up these other 2 bags, because we probably will use them all. And we're a little bit far from that one. Alright, let's go tackle these other 2 fields. Let's see, how far are we from them? We just did 54, we're going to have to do 50. And then we've got to come up and do 33. 33 we're going to do last. So, let's go get 50 going. Unfortunately, the other downside with the rented equipment is we cannot use it on our own farm. It's a little bit silly. We should be able to do the contract and use it ourselves, but they're trying to make sure that you just don't get to use a ton of free equipment, I guess, by doing the contract. Alright, we're going to cut through our farm here, because 50 is going to be right behind ours. And we did turn off crop destruction, so we can just drive right over our field. And cut through right here. Alright, and we are going to turn it on. Or straighten ourselves out first, just so that we hire our AI worker here, they're not going in a weird angle. And they will go ahead and fertilize this field for us. Now, we're going to put away our cedar here real quick, because we are done with it. And then we're going to redeem our other contract. So, we'll just go ahead and bring this back in line. Lower it. Disconnect it. And we are cleaned up. And if we go to our start menu and go back to our contracts, we now have field 54 completed. Like I said, that costs, I think it was like $418, $490. We're going to be making $3,000 off of the AI helper just doing it. We're going to go ahead and collect that one. And we'll go ahead and say we'll take field 61 to fertilize as well, because why not? We'll accept that contract, and as soon as we're done with field 50, we'll hit up 61, and we might skip the 2 smaller ones. Now, they all are smaller, so it'll cost less to do them, but we're only going to be making a couple $100 doing them. We'll see if it's worth the time. But I think that is a good place for us to stop right now. I think you probably have at least a little bit of a grasp on the start of the game here. In the next episode, we will show you guys how to go ahead and start mowing. We'll pick up a mower, mow it, and we'll see about either getting a baler or a forage harvester once we get there. It is going to take a few months before we're ready to mow, but we'll show you each of our growth stages and how we go along the way. You guys have a fantastic day. Happy gaming.